In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 creative ways to do self-portraits, and here is a teaser of what to expect in today's episode. So this week I wanted to give myself a task to create 3 different setups for a self-portrait. If you followed me on Instagram, you may have already seen a few of these already, but now I'm going to give you the opportunity to see a complete breakdown of how I created some of those images. Starting with number 1, which is doing in-camera double exposures. The gear I used in this setup and with all of the setups is, first of all, you need to be able to trigger the camera somehow. So for this, I was using a very basic trigger that I'd bought for a few pounds off Amazon. It's a lot cheaper than the Canon branded one and works just the same way. What I did was I set the delay on my camera to be 2 seconds, so that gave me enough time to press the button, put the trigger away, and then do some sort of pose. The other thing I needed to make this work is the app on my phone that was creating all of those lights. The app I used was Magic Lights. I will leave a link in the description below, but it was really cool. You can set exactly what colors are on screen and for how long, and if they transition or if they cut, and then I just simply wave that in front of the lens. The settings I used on my camera was ISO 100, aperture 7.1, and the shutter speed was 3.2 seconds. Now, the reason why I needed such a long shutter speed is because I need to drag that shutter so that once the flash fires, I've got time to get off out of my seat, walk over to the lens and wave the light in front of the lens. You can have a longer shutter speed if you want to. Just the more time you're stood there waving your phone, the more light is going to come in, and it could bleach and not look great and you just lose the image behind it. So 3.2 seconds for me is a good starting point, and make sure you have the brightness really low on your phone when you do this. Now, the other thing I need for this to work is I need a second trigger. I've obviously got the one on top of the camera, that's firing the first flash. When I then get off out of my seat, move to my new position, I am then, with my spare trigger, I'm hitting the test button. I'm hitting the test button because I want the flashes to fire again. Now, because they're firing again inside of that 3.2 second shutter, that is creating a new exposure in the camera. But what I've done for the purpose of this demonstration, I've put my lights on just so you can see a slow motion version. So I don't recommend putting the lights on. This is just for your benefit. So let's break it down. So I've got 3 things in my hand. So the first thing I'm going to trigger is the 2-second delay right there. You saw the infrared. Get into position. Shutter goes. I'm now waving the lights in front of it, turning, and then boom, triggering the second trigger. Give that a go. It's super experimental. What I love about this setup is you literally cannot recreate the same image twice, because you might move differently, stand in a different position, the lights might be slightly different. The more you wave it, it's going to create different patterns. So that's what I love about this. You can get really creative with your self-portraiture using just your phone or a strobe. All right, so for this next setup, I wanted to see if I can try and recreate sunlight coming through this window, make it look like it was a really golden hour sunset coming through this window. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a couple of AD200s or Pica 200s. I'm gonna put them outside, shining through into my studio through that window here. So that's gonna be my main light, this one right behind me. So this is the first one, and the second one is just there. They've both got gels on them. This one has a C2O, they both actually have C2O gels on them, color temperature orange. That's going to give it that sunset warm glow to the images. Let's put it all together, and let's actually add some haze as well. I'm going to add some smoke just to make it look more atmospheric. Let's see how it goes. Again, I was using the same trigger, the Amazon basic trigger. It was just a case of going back and forth, just to make sure I was happy with how the light was looking and if I was happy with my pose and the composition and everything else. If you can make your light look motivated, look like it was part of the scene, that's always going to be first prize. So for this, I intentionally had the window in shot so that there was motivation to see where all of this lovely golden hour light was coming from. If I'd have cropped that window out, it wouldn't have looked as motivated. So I purposely left the window in. Even with this setup right here, it might look like I'm being lit from the window right next to me, which I've intentionally left in, but that's not the case. I'm actually using a 90 centimeter softbox, which is feathered, so I'm not getting the bulk of it, I'm just getting the edge feather. And actually above me, I've got a ring light that's acting as a hair light as well. Again, I'm using it in a very subtle way so that it doesn't feel very obvious that I'm being lit with lights or with flash or with continuous lights in this case, if that makes sense. Let's see what it would look like when I switch it off. This is just with the hair light on, so yeah, it's doing a lot more than you might think. So give this one a go. You can buy gels online for really cheap. You can just elastic band it around your strobe, put it outside, firing through the window so that it's going through some net curtains maybe, and that will feel more motivated rather than putting it inside the room. Put it outside and have it firing through the window and see what kind of results you get from there. All right, so for this third and final setup, I'm not going to use my Canon DSLR. For this, I want to use my Polaroid camera. Now I want to try and hook up my Polaroid to my flashes. I did this a couple of years ago, but if you didn't see that video, I will leave a link up here that gives you a little bit more detail about that, but I'll give you a brief outline of what I did here. So let's check it out. So the Polaroid camera I'm using is an SX70 Polaroid camera. Now let's just pause there. So that little thing there, that's a mint bar. This attaches to an SX70 and is able to provide on-camera flash, which is cool. But that's not the reason why I bought it. The reason why I bought this mint bar is because it actually has a jack on the side. So I bought a cable that connects from the mint bar and goes directly into my City 600 strobe. That means when the Polaroid camera triggers, that will then trigger all of the strobes. So I've turned my Polaroid camera into a camera that can actually fire off-camera flash. Now you're probably thinking, well, how on earth do you manually control a Polaroid camera if it's going to fire strobes? If it doesn't know it's going to fire strobes, how do you compensate for that? So the film is Polaroid 600, so that's the speed of the film, so I know that it's ISO 600. From what I've read online, the aperture is fixed at around f8, f9 sort of figure. The shutter speed, I have no idea, I have to guess. That's why when I'm doing Polaroid off-camera flash, I generally, like the first setup, I get the room as dark as possible so that I'm only metering so that flash is the only thing exposed in the shot. So using my flash meter, I metered it at around f8, f9 at ISO 600 or as close to it as I could. If you want to learn more about how to use a flash meter and how to dial in your exact flash settings, then just click the card up there and that'll take you to 5 reasons why you should be using a flash meter. All right, so the next hurdle is how do you trigger a Polaroid camera? Now, I didn't realize they even made this until I was Googling around. I wasn't expecting it to, but they actually make a self-timer control for the Polaroid camera. It's very mechanical. You wind it up, press the button, and then after 10 seconds, it then physically presses the shutter button for you, which is really cool. And we are finally ready to take our first shot with a Polaroid camera. Now that noise there, that's the noise of the self-timer winding down. That's the beauty of Polaroid. It's the imperfections that comes with it. It varies slightly every single time. Even down to the temperature of the room can affect the image as well. Sometimes I've hidden them under my armpit so that it just changes the tint slightly. Yeah, that's the beauty of Polaroid. You've got to take the good with the bad. I wasn't going to include this in this video, but here's an honourable mention using the optical snoot. I didn't put this in because I didn't feel like it was the most creative, but here is a quick image that I did take with the optical snoot, with a gel inside, with the boxed gobo. This was before I did the shoot where the lights were coming in actually through the window. I wanted to see if I can create it with flash with the optical snoot, but me personally, I actually much prefer the shots where I'm just sat right here versus the optical snoot creating that window light look. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments and let me know which one you prefer. And also let me know which one of these you liked most as well. Me personally, my favorite one was actually the one of me here. It's very rare that I will take an image of myself that I like, but I actually really like the images where I was just here and the lights were firing through the window. That's about it, guys. Thank you ever so much for checking out this video. If you liked it, please make sure you hit the like or share button, or subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And as always, I will see you again next time. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.